am the first college student in centuries from a poverty-stricken village. My parents suffer from cancer but refuse to set foot in a hospital even once, all to scrimp and save for my education. My younger brother was beaten so severely for accidentally touching the piggy bank Mom had saved for me that he lay bedridden for 3 days. To scrape together my tuition, the entire village emptied their coffers, pooling every last cent. Everyone hails me as the pride of Yazhong village beyond compare. Countless nights I vowed silently to carry them all in my heart forever. Thus, on the day I received the admission notice from Tsinghua University, I spent every penny I had to treat them to a final supper. Before their twisted, lifeless bodies, I wept and kowtowed 3 times, my forehead striking the ground with resounding thuds. The air reeked of a pungent, acrid stench and thick, cloying blood, a nauseating odor that assaulted the senses. When the police arrived, I was inspecting the last body among the sprawl. It was Uncle Wang, who had always given me candy when he saw me as a child. He had drunk only a little of the poison, so its effects were slow. His face weathered like bark, contorted in agony, every wrinkle deepening with pain. "Stop! Freeze!" came the police's shout, but by then I had already deftly snapped Uncle Wang's neck. From that moment no soul in Yazhong village survived, save for me. "Hands up! Behind your head! Don't move!" Swarming officers surrounded me, their guns trained on me as they closed in. I raised my hands to admire my handiwork, smiling in satisfaction. Without a thought to resist, I let them cuff me. As I left, I even kicked my parents' bodies at my feet. "Why, Zhu? Why do this?" In the interrogation room, the seasoned detective asked me this question for the 58th time. Meeting his stern gaze, I shrugged nonchalantly. "I've told you, officer. I'm doing society a favor. A bunch of decrepit old fools, good for nothing but wasting resources. Aren't I doing a public service by getting rid of them? Show some respect," barked the young officer taking notes, unable to stomach my attitude. The detective flipped through the thick dossier in his hands, his face darkening. "Did you even know your parents had cancer? They refused medical care to save every yuan for your schooling." I tilted my head, feigning innocence. "Can't say I did. But what does it matter? They were going to die anyway, just more waste. Better to spare society the trouble and set them free sooner. And your grandmother? She spent her entire life savings, even her coffin money, to put you through college." "Ugh, don't get me started," I snapped, scowling. "That miserly old bat hoarded pennies for years and only gave me 200 yuan, like I'm some beggar." The detective recoiled at my matter-of-fact tone, his face twisting in revulsion as if he'd swallowed something foul. I yawned and decided to save him the trouble of asking his next question. "I know what you're going to say, Mayor Wang. Aunt Lee, the whole village helped me, so I killed them all too so they wouldn't be lonely on the Yellow Spring Road. Thoughtful of me, right, officer?" "Enough." The young officer slammed the table so hard his pen snapped in two. "Zhu, did you learn nothing from all that schooling? They were your benefactors, your second parents. How can you laugh after doing this? You're worse than an animal." He stood up, furious, and spat in disgust. Had he not clung to his last shred of professional self-control, he would have lunged at me. But his rage didn't faze me. "Why so worked up, officer? If you're not happy with it, go join them underground." The young officer turned crimson, his chest heaving. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore and stormed out, slamming the door. "I can't interrogate this monster. Get someone else. This guy's a despicable animal." I sneered, unyielding, as the interrogation hit another dead end. The veteran detective beside me refused to give up, tapping the table with his fingertips, his hawk-like gaze locked unblinkingly on me. "Every story has a reason, Zhu. If you confess honestly, you might get a lighter sentence." "Lighter sentence?" I scoffed at his earnest tone. I stared at him like he was a fool. "Hey, officer. Do cops not take IQ tests? I killed over 100 people, and you're talking about a lighter sentence? How stupid can you be?" "Hopeless," the detective muttered, finally losing patience. His face ashen, he slammed the door and left. Another one driven away. Boring. I clicked my tongue. 3 hours passed before the interrogation room door opened again. This time, along with the police, they brought an old acquaintance, my homeroom teacher, Zhao Tingting. I'd expected her to look at me with the same revulsion as others. But to my surprise, her eyes filled with tears the moment she saw me. "Zhu, how could you do this?" She lunged to hug me, sobbing uncontrollably. "There must be a misunderstanding, right? My dear student, if you have any grievances, tell them to me. I can't believe you do such a thing." Listening to her choked voice, I looked up expressionlessly and met the gaze of a formidable stranger at the door. my lips curling into a sarcastic grin. I get it, now that everyone who knows me is dead, you've brought a teacher. When hard tactics fail, you try soft ones. The man's eyes darkened as he pulled out a chair and sat down. I am Yazhong, Deputy Director of the Criminal Investigation Division. This case has caused too much social impact and is extremely heinous, so I will be in charge of your subsequent interrogation. Oh, so you went to get reinforcements, I said indifferently, turning my head and moving my wrists red from the handcuffs. Hey teacher, can you get up first? Zhao Tingting froze and stood up with red eyes. Jin Feng's pen tapping the table sounded like a judge from the underworld. Zhu Yao, you had excellent school grades and normal behavior. Teachers and classmates speak highly of you, and your psychological tests show no issues, no signs of antisocial personality. You claim there's no reason for your crimes, but I don't believe it. He squinted, his sharp eyes seeming to see through people. But how could I be intimidated by him when I'd killed an entire village without blinking? Aren't you cops all about evidence? If you think I'm lying, prove it. I've said all I need to. I was just contributing to society. Zhu Yao, that's not true. You were so good at school, why? Shut up, I shouted, interrupting Zhao Tingting. Don't speak for me. Get out. She was startled by my bloodshot eyes, stammering for a long time before leaving in tears after Jin Feng nodded. Watching her go, my emotions calmed. Turning, I found Jin Feng staring at me intently, missing no flicker of expression on my face. A model student with no prior misdeeds committing a village massacre, he said, pulling out papers from a file, drawings of me from different angles during the previous interrogation. I have to admit, you have exceptional psychological resilience and anti-reconnaissance skills beyond your age. But subconscious micro-expressions don't lie, Zhu Yao, you're lying. His certainty and confident gaze made it seem he'd read my mind, but I only found it ludicrous. Officer, if someone as arrogant as you can be deputy director, does the provincial bureau have no one better? Jin Feng didn't anger at my sarcasm but pressed. Am I wrong? The young officer taking notes froze, unprepared for my blunt admission. Glancing at the clock, then at Jin Feng, I said, I know you're in charge here. I'll tell you the truth if you agree to a condition. You're a heinous murderer daring to make demands? You're courting death. Director Jin, she's probably plotting something. Don't agree. Jin Feng raised an eyebrow, ignoring the indignant clerk, and pondered before looking up. Go on. If it's about a lighter sentence, forget it. I smiled. If I feared death, I wouldn't have acted. I don't want a lighter sentence, I want to go out. I want to see the tallest tower in the city. After 2 hours of internal discussion, they agreed. Though still handcuffed, I had brief freedom. But no one expected the scene outside the police station. Crowds of furious people shouting "White-eyed wolf!" and throwing rotten eggs, spoiled food, and even a bucket of foul liquid at me. A teenage boy with a manure bucket jeered, "You pollute the air." As the crowd cheered, I suddenly lost interest. Forget it. Let's go back. Jin Feng's puzzled look didn't escape me. I'd only wanted to see the big city everyone craved, but now it seemed trivial. Back in the station, no one would help me clean up except Zhao Tingting. As she silently bathed me, nearby cleaners scoffed. Why bother with this ungrateful wretch? To my surprise, Zhao Tingting snapped. Is the case closed? Even if my student is guilty, the law will judge her. Not you. Later, as she combed my hair, she whispered school memories, even recalling me saving a dying sapling in biology class. When the guard called time, she said softly, "Happy 18th birthday, Zhu Yao." I froze. Warm tears dropped on my hand. Take me to see the director. I'll tell the truth, I said. As officers gathered to listen, I began with a laugh, then shocked everyone. Zhu Yao wasn't my brother. He was my son. I've had 8 abortions. The room erupted in disbelief, but I continued coldly, revealing my real name, Zhu Yao Demon, and the abuse starting at 13 by Uncle Wang, sold by my grandmother, raped repeatedly, and called a curse for failing to bear sons. My calm tone chilled the room as I exposed the kindness of the village, sugar-coating abuse, family complicity in my suffering. The truth hung heavy, silence broken only by the scratch of the clerk's pen. Later, I was confined at home, forced to swallow countless contraceptive pills, nauseating folk remedies, herbal potions, and greasy machine oil, all to bear a son. The villagers gradually became monsters. Anyone who paid my grandmother could enter my room. From fierce resistance, I sank into despairing numbness. After Zhu Yao was born, the family rejoiced. In the village, there were many Zhu Yaos. Other infants were sold for money or livestock. Only those confirmed as male were kept. The rest were aborted. Zhu Yao was passed off as my brother, but I loathed him, not even knowing his father's identity. This nightmare continued until strangers arrived. Young city teachers on a volunteer teaching mission. Villagers distrusted outsiders and refused to send their children to school. One teacher, a young woman in a white dress, came to my home. She approached gently, offering candy, but I screamed in terror, convinced monsters would follow. Instead of recoiling, she hugged me, letting my filth stain her dress. Her name was Zhao Tingting. That day's candy wasn't sweet, but no monsters came. Ms. Zhao praised my intelligence and lobbied my family to let me study in the city. Education can change your life, she said. I studied relentlessly, wearing down boxes of pens and developing calluses. Those years were my happiest, free from abuse. Before the college entrance exam, I had to return to the village. I cried for hours saying goodbye. Ms. Zhao assured me I'd get into Tsinghua, gave me the name Zhu Yao, Radiant Jade, and vowed I'd have a bright future. Why kill them after getting into Tsinghua? Jinfeng asked, voice tight. I snapped. Because they deserve to die. News of my admission spread, and villagers acted friendly. That night, my mother lured me with milk. I woke to find village chief, Uncle Wang, and others violating me while my family counted money outside. When I resisted, my grandmother dragged me by the hair, screaming I was property. My brother Zhu Yao stabbed me at 5 years old, while my mother protected him, calling me a bitch. They treated me as a cash cow. After I learned their congratulations were just to lower my guard and sell me, something snapped. I pretended to comply, poisoned their drinks with paraquat, and watched them suffer. I confessed everything. The interrogation room fell silent. The clerk's hand trembled as he wrote my statement. I asked him to use Zhu Yao, the name Ms. Zhao gave me, meaning jade, precious and pure. DNA tests confirmed Zhu Yao was my son, and hospital records proved my abortions. When let out, officers looked at me with pity and regret. Jinfeng asked why I confessed. I touched the flower hair tie Ms. Zhao gave me. You listened. And Ms. Zhao? She's too pure to be tainted by me. Half a month later on death row, I saw Jinfeng and Ms. Zhao. Jinfeng had offered to take me to Zhou Tower, but I no longer cared. Ms. Zhao wore her white dress, fumbling with the candy. Next life, I want to be your daughter, I told her. As the injection took effect, I felt a gentle breeze, her warmth. A year later, the case faded from memory. Jinfeng, now at Zhou Tower, pondered justice. In a mountain village, Ms. Zhao taught children in a white dress. When asked about her dream child, she smiled. Her name will be Zhao Yao. The end.